Marketer of the Day, episode 571, Sound Through Music. Create a product people already love, proof of concept, and disciplined persistence with Alicia Patterson.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. We're chatting with Alicia Patterson, and Alicia's website is soundthroughmusic.com. And Teresa has a company called, like we said, Sound Through Music, and their goal is to teach science with the aid of music. And she creates plays. She was a school bus driver. She has all kinds of interesting stories to tell us. So, Alicia, glad to be talking to you.
It was great to be here with you.
Awesome. So that's good. The feeling's mutual. It's not just one way for me. And so as far as this whole teaching science and doing music, can you kind of tell us what you have going on? Unpack that a little bit?
Okay, what I have, it's it's a few things, but the first thing, I have a play. It's a musical. It teaches about sound. The name of the play is At the Wave. It teaches about the four elements of sound, how sound travels, vibration, the beginning physics of sound. I also have a web series / TV show. It's locally here in New York, called Meet Me at the Wave. It's the same. It's like a spinoff from the play At the Wave, and it also teaches about sound. But what it was the kids were really interested in the characters, and they would ask them like personal questions after the show. So I decided that I'd write a web series to so that the kids could learn more about the characters, so they wouldn't ask them like, so where do you live? What do you so so I have a web series. I also have a book coming out, which I'm really excited about, that's based on the same thing. And I have that's the levels of At the Wave. So that's what Sound Through Music is doing right now.
Awesome. So it sounds like you have a lot of these different things going on, and you had this concept that was really popular. So if it's picking up and a lot of people like it and it's doing really well, why just drop it and create something else? You might as well just kind of ride that wave, pun intended, and keep creating more of what people are enjoying, right?
Yeah, and we're going into different areas of science with At the Wave. At one point I thought I would like create something else and go into but they really like the characters. So I said, we're going to go into different sciences and stuff. Actually, we were talking a little earlier about atmosphere. That's our next science that we're going into, atmosphere. And, we're going, and then as far as the play is concerned, we're like upgrading a lot of things. Like we're going to be doing digital backdrops, and, we're trying to make it look more. I want the play to look more Blue Man-y. You know how the Blue Man Group looks? I love the way they look. I want At the Wave to look like that. So, so we're always trying to make it better and better and better and better, especially being that, the kids really like it, so.
Yeah, I mean, you're ramping up, and it sounds like once you have your system down, your format down, then maybe you get a little bit of a bigger budget, or you figure out a few proof of concept things out. You can have a lot of fun with that, right? Like with the atmosphere stuff, with rain and thunder and the smoke machine, and I can only imagine with the existing sounds stuff that you have right now, you play around with frequencies and rhythms and graphs and amplitude and all that sort of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the best thing about science is that science is all around us. Science is really deep. In other words, there's no wall to stop. You can just continue and keep going and keep going and keep so it's it's endless, the things you could do with science. That's why I'm really excited that the kids really like it. And, I really want to make sure that I taught kids at an earlier age, because, the way that technology is going, I mean, they're not really learning the basics. Like, I know kids that you can give them your phone and you could be locked out of your phone. You could have all kinds of problems with your phone, but they touch a few buttons and they're like, what's the problem here? It's fine. You know what I'm saying? But they don't know just basic science things, because technology has taken over so much it's so important for everybody to know how to work this and how to make this happen with this machine and this computer and this, and they don't know the basic things. So that's one of our goals, to also to just teach them, the basics of science, but in a fun way. I've been a singer songwriter for 30 years, and so it's a musical, and I'm enjoying writing this type of music. I mean, writing for kids is just fun anyway, because they're fun anyway. They're just fun. So I'm really enjoying doing this. It's one of the best projects I've ever done. So.
Yeah, and I can totally get a lot of the appeal and a lot of the need for this, because as you said, those young kids these days, dang, do they know how to work an app? Do they know how to go into different settings and things? Like I have this nephew, and when he was 2 years old, he'd be just getting into the camera and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I was like, you're 2 years old. How the heck do you know things that even I don't know as a 33-year-old? But it's just they grew up with it. But as you said, it also can be sort of a crutch, right? Because back when you and I were young, if we needed to figure something out, we'd have to go to the library, or we'd have to order that book. And nowadays, you can just look up anything online, which is great. But then it's hard. Like, you sort of are dependent on that. And then I also imagine that there's that component of, sometimes kids are just bored, right? Like, if a kid isn't doing well in school, you might think, oh, they're not very smart, or they have ADD, but sometimes they're bored. And I mean, I think we all either have been that kid or know that sort of kid where they don't really want to study, but then they can read all the Harry Potter books. So it's like they can find a way to enjoy reading or science in some sort of way. So maybe we just need to find a way to make it fun. And I keep thinking back to when I was a kid, the sort of Mr. Wizard stuff, and they teach about you mix these chemicals and it makes this smoke, or makes this thing explode, and it was a lot of fun. And so, I mean, where did this idea for making science fun even come from? Because I know that we mentioned that you're a bus driver, but is this just something that like was always on your mind, or did you have like a one day where it came as a moment of inspiration, or how did this idea get formed in the first place?
Well, I've always loved science from a kid. I should have been in science as far as a career, but this is just how it goes. I went to school. I was studying nuclear medicine. I was slaying nuclear medicine, okay, slaying it, and I didn't have enough money to finish. So I said I would love to be able to just start a foundation for young people that's just trying to, that just don't have enough money to do it. It's for young married people, because I was married, so I couldn't finish. But, I had kids, and I just always loved science. So when I decided to write for kids, I knew that it was going to have to be something with science, because I always loved it. I mean, I have a daughter now. You said you're 33. I have a daughter that's actually younger than you. She's 31, and she has her PhD, and she's going to have her MD in December, but she's one that enjoyed science as much as I did. And when you have kids, you really have to find what they love, and you have to, like you were talking about teaching kids, you have to find what they love and make it around that. Like, my son, he loves basketball. He always loved basketball, but he didn't love to read, but he loved basketball. So I'd buy him basketball magazines so he could read the basketball magazines, I'd give him the sports page so he could read the sports page. Anything to get him to read, because he didn't like to read. So you really just have to find those things that kids like to do and kids are interested in, to get them to learn, to learn. And this, as far as what I'm doing, I know that everybody loves music. I don't think, maybe one person that I may have run into that didn't really care for music. But everybody that I know loves music some kind of way. I mean, some level of music. And we all know that it's really easy to learn through music. Very easy to learn through music. I remember when I was in college, one of the things that helped me get those crazy grades I was getting, and I wish I had saved this song. I had written a song about the table of elements, the periodic table of elements. I wrote a song about it so that I could remember the elements and remember, everything about the elements. And it was a long song because I did it in sections. But that really was something that really helped me. So I know that this type of thing, them singing about frequency, about amplitude, about, the four elements, timbre, duration, about vibrations, about, how sound travels. They learn those songs at 5, 6 years old. When they're in the fifth, sixth grade, when they're really learning this stuff, they're gonna remember that, and it's gonna be easy for them. They're not gonna be afraid. They're gonna feel smart because they're able to sing about it in their head. Maybe they don't want everybody to know they know some songs that kind of taught them that. They can sing it in their head, and they'll do better. So but I hope I answered your question. I know I went on to a little thing.
That's okay though. Well, yeah, I think you did in that. Well, when you like you said, if you can, first of all, instead of trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, it's a way of an easier job to figure out what the kids already want to know about and then adapt it to that. And I mean, that applies to most people, right? I mean, who enjoys things like, figuring out your taxes or figuring out some website, but if you can figure out what people at any age, but kids especially, but you figure out what they're already interested in and then apply it to that, then it's like, okay, now you don't have to drop everything and learn something new. It already aligns with what it is that you want to know about, whatever it is. And then as far as that whole thing with adding music, I mean, when you were explaining that whole thing about how everybody loves music, it makes me think back to, when I was little, they taught us a song to learn ABCs, right? Because it's fun, and then I'm sure it uses different parts of the brain, and then there's that whole like relationship between music and math and all that. And when I was in middle school and things like that, we got to watch the Schoolhouse Rock videos and learn multiplication or learn about how a bill becomes a law, stuff like that. So I mean, this is making a lot of sense for me, where it doesn't really take all that much, right, to make something fun, as opposed to just doing all the stupid, boring, dreary stuff there. So you had this idea from just all these ways where it needed to get better to the kids. And so what happened between having this idea and figuring out the songs to making this a whole production? What sort of steps did you have to go through?
Okay, I'm going to start this story with all my friends think I'm crazy. Okay, just remember that. Okay, so actually what happened was I was laid off as a school bus driver, and I didn't know. You get laid off and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I got to pay bills, I got a mortgage, I got this, I got that, and I said, I just prayed and I said, I need to know what I'm gonna have to do. So if you could kind of let me in on this, I'd truly appreciate it, So, that's how we talk. We cool like that. So what happened was the next morning, I decided I'd write some songs, and they happened to be children's songs, which was different, and about sound, which was totally different. And so I went to my friend. He has a studio. I decided I'm going to go in the studio. He's really excited. Oh, you're in the studio again? Great. Children's songs. Oh my God, you're crazy, really. So I got him to do it finally. Then I said, I'm gonna write a play. Had I ever written a play? Heck no, I never wrote a play. I wrote a play. Then I cast it for the play. Had I ever cast for a play? No, never cast for a play. And then I said, I really need people to know about this. So let me figure out how to do this. I said, I have to figure out a way. But then as I was doing the play, I did it a couple of times. The kids start asking questions. So the kids really gave me the web series because they would ask questions. They asked the frequency. That's one of my character. He's a rocker, right? Frequency. The little boy asked Frequency, so where do you live? Frequency said, I live by, I'm in New York. I live by Utica Avenue. He's like, oh, wow, me too. Maybe you could come over and have a play date. The Frequency's a grown person. He's like, oh, we'll talk to your mom. And why? So you and her, that's your sister? Yeah, wow, you really should be nicer because they have like this, the sister brother thing, they argue stuff. And, just say they were very into, the character. So I decided, let me just do the web series. So I did the web series. Then I put it on. In New York, we have something called Brick TV. It's a public access thing, but the thing is about Brick TV is a lot of big people that end up in television start out at Brick TV. So I thought, I should try to get it on there. And that's why I tell people, just try. Let's see what happens. Hey, the no is going to be no whether you try or not. So I called and I left all the information on the machine, and they actually let me put my show on Brick TV because they like the show. I'm like, so, I know people that has been trying to get on there for years, but it's been hard. So, that story kind of upset some people. But anyway, so that's where we are. We're there now. We're planning more shows for September, for the schools and stuff like that, and that's where we are now. We're trying to be we want to be the Sesame Street of science. We want to be, that's what we want to be. So I hope I answered that question. I know I go on and on. Hopefully I got to the question.
Yeah, yeah. I think you did. It was, it went to, you didn't stop moving forward. It went to the next logical step. And so I found a few things really interesting there about what you said. One is that it sounds like an easy recipe for creating something that's, new, unique, original, is to combine things that maybe don't always go together or people haven't thought to put them together. So in this case, it's, music and science. And then to figure out the details about what to talk about, you just went to the questions that the kids have asked. And that's another good lesson that, again, applies to kids, but can also apply to pretty much like anyone you're trying to get attention of. You figure out what questions they're already asking, and then you just answer those questions, right? Pretty simple. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. So anytime that if I have writer's block about like a blog post or a book or something, then I just look back to, well, what questions are people asking? So that way I can get right to this important stuff, but then also there's that little bit of you're using their own language, right? You're speaking as them. You're answering the question the same way that they ask the question, so that way you don't have to figure out this disconnect. You're just going with the flow. And so you got your show on public access and then moved it up from there. And you said that, so some people have tried a heck of a lot to get on Brick TV, on public access, and they weren't able to do it, but somehow you were. So do you think there's a secret to that? Do you think there's something that you're doing that they're not? Is it a matter of just that it's persistence, or you knew how to properly market your show, or what did you do that others aren't?
Absolutely. I think what it was that it was something that they didn't have. A lot of times when you go into situations, you have to find out what they have and what they don't have. See, I didn't do that. In all honesty, I fell into that. I mean, I can tell you, I did this big thing, this big research. No, I'm gonna be honest. I fell into that. But I happen to. You do know that you have to find out what people need and what they want. Brick TV doesn't. They have a few kid shows, but they don't have that many. And on the level that I'm doing it, they don't have any. They don't have that. So I did not know that when I went for it. I had no idea. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea. But after we got nominated for some awards, and then I started going, well, what do they have on this thing? So I start looking to see what they have as far as kids, and they didn't have a lot. They had some things, but not not what I'm doing. So that, if I have to say, I mean, the key into getting the key to get into something, I would probably have to say, maybe just find out what they have already and find out what they don't need. Because, honestly, I'm sure it's a lot of people that do let me see, the talk show thing, or maybe the drama thing, but maybe, they get a lot of dramas, or maybe they get a lot of whatever, but they didn't have what I'm doing. So I think that's what made it easy. It was good on my part that I was ready for them. I didn't go there pitching. I actually had, some shows I had already, shot already. So they was able to see my vision. That helped. But, you have to, sometimes that's what you have to do too. You have to do it yourself just so people can see what you're doing, and decide if they want to be a part of it. So I think that's what I did. And as far as persistence is concerned, you mentioned the word, you were talking about brick TV. I think that's just something you have to do in life. You have to be persistent in life. You have to, if it's something that you want, you can't stop. You have to keep going. You just have to keep going. You can't, I was talking to somebody the other day and I was saying that, you're ready to do something. I mean, on a certain level when you sleep in your car. You know what I'm saying? That's a deep statement. But if I mean, most people, they don't have to because maybe they have family or whatever. But you're ready when you sleep in your car. And when you sleep in your car for something that you truly believe in, you're really ready. It could never be about money. It could never be about money because, I don't know if you ever heard that story, 3 Feet Before Gold. It's about, I don't know if you, but I'll say it. It's about these miners. They had been mining this mine for like ever. And then they just felt there wasn't any gold there. So they sold the mine. So the person that bought the mine 3 feet from where they were digging at was the gold. So you just always got to think that, it could be 3 feet in. Just keep going. You know what I'm saying? Just keep going. I got to go another 3 feet. Take 3 feet at a time. You don't have to, you don't have to say, okay, I'm going to dig for 20 days. I'm going to dig for the next 5 hours. Then I'm going to dig another 5 hours. Then I'm going to dig another 5 hours. Because the goal could be right there. So you do have to be persistent. You have to be, a word that I don't hear people say a lot. You have to be disciplined in your persistence. You can't just be all over the place. You have to stay focused and, just continue. And that's where I am. I'm focused. I know what I want and I don't see anything else. I see where I'm going. That's all I see. So I keep forgetting your question, but I keep going around.
but it's all good material, and you did answer it. We were just figuring out what was that secret ingredient that you have, and it sounds like just from everything that you just explained there that we all need to find that healthy obsession. And some people think that, oh, I want it so bad, or I'll really work for it, but then they don't follow through. And like you said, disciplined persistence. And what I like about that story about the 3 feet from gold, like I've heard that story. And what's great about it is, so not only did they buy the gold mine from the person that gave up three feet before the gold, but after they bought the gold mine, they hired an expert to figure out like what was happening, to figure out like where the gold vein was. And it didn't take that much time at all. They just consulted with an expert to say, okay, well, here's the direction you should be digging. Here's why they thought that they ran out. So there's something to be said for that too, of you kind of have to have, there's probably like 4 or 5 ingredients in there as far as you need to have that goal, that vision, and then put in the legwork. But then don't just do things willy-nilly. Sometimes you have to stop back and figure out a little bit of a plan or ask for outside help. So it's like just a handful of these success factors that we all need to have in there. So you have your healthy obsession figured out, and every iteration you're upping your game. Like you said, you're doing crazier things. You're moving into the atmosphere stuff. And as far as the internet marketing side of things, like you mentioned that you have a YouTube channel. And actually, before I get into that, something else that I found really helpful with your answer there is that you did a little bit of putting your money where your mouth was, right? You created this proof of concept. You made a few of the videos yourself, so that way you had something to show the public access people instead of just an idea. I'm sure lots of people have ideas, right? A lot of people have some stuff written out or some plans, but you said, I made the low budget version of this. Here is how it actually looks, because a picture's worth 1,000 words. So there's that part of it. But then, so you have the online stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about that, of what you're doing as far as the internet marketing side of things to get more attention to this TV show of yours?
Okay, so you touched on something that, I mean, a lot of people, they run from. I have a digital marketer. I have someone, because, all right, you're 33. I'm old enough to be your mom. Okay, we'll just leave it right there. Okay, I don't know a lot of stuff about SEOs and the this and the that, so I hired someone, and I want it. I want everyone listening. Listen, if you don't know what you're doing, put your money aside and get somebody that knows what they're doing. Don't think that somebody's bothering you if they're, if check them out, make sure that they know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? But get somebody to do that for you. Get somebody to handle that, because if you don't know what you're doing, it's like I call it like wading in the water. You're just there. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the internet is concerned, there's a lot of people that are just there. There's a lot of people that are just hanging out, not doing anything. Here, we're right over here. That's all we're doing. But in order to make a splash, there's you got to do a lot more. Like with me, I'll tell you something that I just found out. See, me personally, I'm always pushing my show. I'm always pushing my show. I'm always pushing my actors. I'm just always pushing everybody. I never push me. And I was having a conversation with somebody that does this. Why aren't you pushing yourself? I said, because it's not about me. It's about my show. It's about, about this, it's about sound. It's about this. They said, well, you've done a lot of interesting things in your life. I mean, I've traveled so many places just singing. They said, you need to make your brand bigger so that your show will be bigger. And they was talking about Shonda Rhimes. They're like, you could be like the Shonda Rhimes for kids. I said, oh, wow, this is really, she's really big out here. You know what I'm saying? So, half the shows, she's almost like involved in so many things. And I mean, she creates them. She probably just, comes and consults or whatever, but her name is all over the place. So that's something that I'm getting ready to do now. I committed to a podcast. I did. I do have a lot of people that do listen to me. Why but they do. and that's what I'm gonna really get into that. Like I told myself 2 weeks. Okay. Because that's another thing. When you're doing things, you have to give yourself a deadline. You can't ever just say, okay, I'm going to do so and so and so. You always have to give yourself a deadline and say, okay, I'm going to do so and so and so, and I'm going to have it done by such and such and such a day, and truly live by that. Like act like it's someone standing over your shoulder, breathing on your neck, saying, okay, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. If you don't do this, and give yourself, like me, I give myself I don't know, like I discipline myself if I don't do it. I mean, I feel worse than anybody else around me if I don't do something. So, because I really make myself like really feel bad. It's like, see, you were supposed to do this and you did not do this. Da, da, da. So I know, go back to marketing. So as far as that's concerned, like I said, I really, at this point, I'm just trying to get it out there as much as I can, as much as what I can do on my side of it. As far as, because I don't like I said, I'm not the person that's into like the all the different forums. So I'm learning more about that, but I also have someone that handles that and they post stuff for me and stuff like that because I don't know what I'm doing. It took me forever to figure out. I know you're gonna laugh. Don't laugh at me. You can laugh. I don't care. Laugh. It took me forever to figure out like Instagram. I'm like, how do you do this thing? I'm not figuring this out. He's like, oh no, it's pictures, pictures. So when we get pictures, we gotta make sure. Okay, okay. So we've been doing a lot of that. I mean, just say he's been handling it, and I would tell anybody, I mean, I've been so excited because at one point you could what's the word? You could search "Meet Me at the Wave," and it wouldn't come up. Everything else would come up, but you search "Meet Me at the Wave" now, it's the first thing that comes up. If I had been handling it, you would still have to look through like 300 things before you know what I'm saying, it would come up, you know. So that's the I'm sorry, I know you have because I've listened to your show. I know you have all these experts and stuff, but I'm not that. Okay. But
Well,
I
you're an
would
expert in something else.
yeah. Yeah, well, okay. Thanks, I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome, and yeah, and there's some good lessons in there to first of all give yourself that deadline because if you don't have the deadline set, then it'll never get done. Also, get an expert to help you out to get you to where you need to go. And what's really interesting about the way that you just explained that was you said that before you had your digital marketing expert, you did your Google search "Meet Me at the Wave" and couldn't find it, and then it brought this person in and they worked their magic, and then now when you do the search, it shows up. So what that tells me right there is that you were doing a little bit on your own. You at least knew what you wanted, right? You at least knew what you were lacking. So you didn't just say, oh, I hear having a website's great, let me hire someone. You did just enough on your own to get something in place to then know what the problem was and then brought that person in to solve the problem. So there's something to that. And like you said, Shonda Rhimes has so many shows out there. There's no way that she's hands-on in every single thing, but she definitely has that brand, and I'm sure she does all the minor tweaks just to make sure that it's a Shonda sort of show. They're all pretty similar, but you know what you're getting, and that whole concept right there of having your Shonda sort of brand, there's something to that because I think a lot of people out there, they go and they do their promotion sort of like how you're on this podcast here, and they might just be sticking to one topic, right? They might just be talking about one project, and that's fine. But then, well, first of all, you kind of have to have all your ducks in a row there, right? You say, well, I can't hop on podcasts until the book's done or the website's done or the TV show's done or whatever, and that's a roadblock in there for yourself. So there's that part of it. But then what happens in a few years when you're on to the next project or things change? Now you have to start over again. So I think that's definitely a huge lesson for me, is that there's something to just doing some of that promotion just for your own self, so that way it's more evergreen, so that way when you have the next project out there, then it's still helping helping to promote that and helping
Yeah.
promote you forever in whatever kind of business that you build. So we're starting to run out of time here, and I just want to make sure that we cover all the bases here. Is there anything that you think that we left out in our conversation here, and are there any links or websites you want to drop here?
Well, I'd love to invite everybody to go to my website. I'm very proud of my website. I actually, like you were saying, I actually built my website. I sat there and figured that out. And it was only because I really wanted to be able to post stuff myself. Like my digital marketer, he has access. And if it's something that he feels it needs to be there, he'll call me. Oh, I think we should put that. And if he puts it, he puts it. But everything on there is, I basically put there. And you can find out about the show. You can find out some things about me, what I was thinking about when I was writing the songs. You can find out, some of the merch we got, which was exciting to put together. And, you could just find out about everything we're doing if you go to the website. You could go to soundthroughmusic.com, or if you can't remember that, you could go to atthewave.com, even meetmeatthewave.com. I bought all three and they all go to the same site, because just in case you forgot which one, Sound Through Music If you can remember at the wave, you could go to the .com and you'll still be able to get there. So, that's cool. And all the, as far as the social media is at the wave on Twitter, at the wave on Facebook, at the wave on Instagram. So that's really it as far as getting in touch or anything. And as far as anything that you left out, no. I thought I thought your questions were great. I was just hoping I didn't overdo it.
No, of course not. We improvised and we went to all kinds of interesting areas. So atthewave.com is the place to check out all that teaching science stuff and check out the At the Wave YouTube video. And I'm sure that once you get into the atmospheric stuff, that'll be on there as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. I cannot wait. I'm so excited writing these songs. I'm really excited. I'm having so much fun writing these songs. I'm having a great time doing it. Yeah. So
Well, cool. And what else is the point, right? Why would you make money doing something that you hate? It makes a lot more sense to do what you love. That way, it's you have the whole package, and that way you don't have to feel like you're trading something, right? It's like
it
you get
doesn't feel like
everything you
work.
want.
It
Yeah,
doesn't feel like work. It's like
yeah.
I'm just hanging out, doing what I want to do. Yeah, I love it. And you're doing a great job too. I've listened to some shows and I'm like going, wow, this guy is so smart. This is great. You're not even my kid. I'm so proud of you. Go, boy.
Awesome. Well, you're making me blush, and you and I both were not settling. We're getting the life that we want. So everyone should go right now to atthewave.com. That's ATTHEWAVE.com. We'll see you there at thewave.com. And thanks so much, Alicia, for stopping by and dropping some knowledge bombs on us and sharing your story and all the things that have happened to you. And it's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Please subscribe, rate, and review our show at marketeroftheday.com/iTunes and like us on Facebook at marketeroftheday.com/Facebook.